This is the daughter of the ruler of Dubai, and apparently she uses controversial rule on social media.
So I usually do my homework. I'll find somebody who knows somebody or something. They could give me some information, like who is it? Like, who is he? And Frenchie, they got me the tape. They got me the tape of his mother's house, where his mom's work at. You know what I'm saying? The other cribs, the studios, stuff like that.
That's the Cali tape.
Right.
Okay.
Man, 50 Cent just will not let French Montana breathe. Every time French's name pops up on the blogs, 50 is right there with a fresh troll locked and loaded, like he's been waiting for the moment. But this time, it ain't just a joke or some petty shade. It cracked open a whole new convo that might be way deeper than anyone expected. Because French Montana ain't just ducking industry drama. Word is, he might be running straight into something even darker. The golden cage of Dubai royalty. On paper, the headline sounds like the ultimate flex. French Montana engaged to a Dubai princess worth $18 billion. To the casual fan, it looks like he finally leveled up from local player to global kingpin. But when you scratch past that glittery headline, the story gets a whole lot messier. People close to the scene are whispering that French's so-called escape plan might have less to do with love and way more to do with survival. With Diddy still swimming in federal heat and investigators allegedly gathering receipts on everybody tied to those wild bad boy freak-offs, French supposedly needed a backup plan. And Dubai looked like paradise. But here's the kicker, even paradises got shadows. Folks who've been around Dubai's underbelly will tell you straight. The skyline might be dripping in gold. The cars might be covered in diamonds. And the money may never end. But behind all that shine, the royals themselves been facing whispers for years. Rumors of princes with appetites so extreme they make Hollywood scandals look like Disney reruns. Stories about Western celebs getting flown out for secret deals and wild situations too crazy to even print didn't just pop up yesterday. So now the streets are side-eyeing French. A man known for chasing bags, living wild, and cozying up to powerful figures just happens to lock arms with a princess sitting on billions. It's got people asking, did French really fall in love, or did he just fall into the safest escape plan money could buy? The safety net theory is starting to look way too neat, almost like the puzzle pieces fit a little too perfectly. It's not that people think French Montana can't fall in love. It's that survival seems like the bigger motivator here. And this is exactly where 50 Cent's shade cuts deep. Because when he jokes that French got bought, it's more than clowning about an engagement ring. It's the idea that French didn't find freedom, he just traded one master for another. He ditched Diddy's storm only to land himself in a new world where the same rules might apply. Powerful men with endless money and zero accountability calling the shots. The irony is brutal. French thought Dubai was his exit route. But if even half those stories about certain princes are true, he might have stepped out of bad boy's fire and straight into Dubai's furnace. And let's be real, the feds might eventually cut a deal or move on. But royalty in Dubai, they play for keeps. That's why the so-called $7 billion escape plan is starting to look less like salvation and more like a glittering trap. He may have bought himself time, but the price tag could be heavier than he ever imagined.
Some other ones also.
Yeah. I came to Steve Rifkin when I had Chopper Down.
Mm-hmm.
I walked in the office, it was him and Gabi.
Yep.
And Gabi was manager. I was like, yo, Steve, give me $200,000. Let me go make music. You know what I'm saying? Just let me. Steve was like, nah, I'll give it to you.
Never got it.
Never got it. I dropped.
Which is funny because Gabi's the president of SRC. Steve is like the CEO, but
yeah, so I don't know what type of
but Steve makes the final call.
Yeah. So I asked for $200,000. You know what I'm saying?
But to really get why French would risk it all by jumping into Dubai's arms, you gotta rewind and see how he even ended up tied to Bad Boy in the first place. French Montana didn't just blow up off Pop That and slide into a deal. Nah, the tea around that signing always had a funky odor. And with all the receipts surfacing on Diddy these last 2 years, fans are looking back with sharper eyes. Here's the part most people forget. When French was hunting for a label, he wasn't some starving mixtape rookie. He had options. Roc Nation circled him. Rick Ross and MMG showed heavy interest. Even Kanye's camp flirted. Yet, out of all those powerful tables, French pulled up a chair with Diddy, the one man whose label was infamous for shady contracts, bad deals, and extra requirements behind the scenes. Why would a man with choices line himself up for that kind of trouble? Allegedly, this whole deal had less to do with music and way more to do with lifestyle. Because let's be real, Bad Boy wasn't just a record label. It was a world of its own. And for some artists, that lifestyle was the real currency. The whispers say Diddy didn't just hand French Montana a contract. He handed him the keys to the parties, the women, the infamous freak-offs, and the, if you play nice, you'll get rewarded type of perks. Fans been side-eyeing French ever since. First, because he openly admitted he took less money up front than what Ross or Jay-Z would have offered him, yet he still picked Puff. Second, because every time he was spotted stumbling out of one of those villas looking half dead, the internet kept the receipts. People dragged up photos and clips from 2016 through 2019 showing French looking straight up worn down. And funny enough, the timing always matched those wild weekends Puff was celebrating him. And once Diddy's arrest in 2024 cracked the industry wide open, the narrative only got nastier. Suddenly, ex-associates and producers started spilling about what it really took to lock down a bad boy deal. One producer even swore Diddy blackballed him after he refused to take part in a freak-off. So, of course, when folks looked back at French's sudden rise, the chatter got loud. Hi guys. Hi. Oh, so you stayed and took that deal? We know what that means. Now, is there a smoking gun with French's name on it? No. But the circumstantial tea is bubbling over. You got Diddy gifting him his own Ciroc French vanilla flavor the very next day after they were allegedly together all night. You got that viral birthday video with Diddy in a robe, French shirtless, both looking way too cozy. And you got French himself saying he wanted the big bag, and Puff was the only one bold enough to hand it over, no questions asked. To the streets, it might have looked like just another label signing. But to the ones watching close, it looked like a man willing to trade personal dignity for career elevation. And that's exactly why folks now think French Montana is running the same playbook in Dubai. Once you've shown you'll sacrifice pride for opportunity, people assume you'll do it again, just with a bigger bag and a different master. Here's where the rabbit hole gets wild. In mid-2024, French pops up at Paris Fashion Week, not just flaunting a new outfit, but allegedly parading a fiancé. And not just any fiancé, Sherera, a princess tied directly to one of Dubai's ruling families. That ain't no regular Bronx love story. That's a power move. A chess piece placed with precision. Look at the timing. Around that same moment, the feds were stacking evidence against Diddy. The freak-off tapes, the trafficking whispers, the money laundering threads. Anybody in Puff's orbit was suddenly toxic. Assistants, producers, even casual friends, were getting subpoenas and grilled. And French? He wasn't just some casual buddy. He was basically Diddy's shadow for years. The birthday trips, the Ciroc endorsements, the endless co-signs. If prosecutors wanted their case airtight, French's name had to come up. And so what does French do? He doesn't just hop on a flight. He ties himself to one of the richest dynasties in the Middle East. Reports claim the Sheikh's family fortune runs over $18 billion. Oil money, legacy money, the type of wealth that doesn't blink when you toss out $7 billion. And when you marry into that, you're not just getting luxury. You're buying protection, power, and a safe haven in a region that doesn't play about outsiders poking around in their business. That's why the whispers won't stop. The streets are saying French didn't find love, he found a survival plan dressed in royal jewels. People can't ignore how fast this engagement popped off or how perfectly it lined up with the heat back in the States. Suddenly, French Montana is spending more time in Dubai than New York or L.A. To his fans, it looks like a whirlwind romance wrapped in fairy tale sparkle. But to his critics, it looks like nothing more than an escape plan dressed up in Cartier rings and royal wedding vows. And let's not skip the optics. Every time French posts up next to his princess, he's polished, glowing, looking like a man reborn.
She learned, a friend of mine is an air hostess, and her friend was on a flight with her, and her friend was eating like a very specific diet. So apparently the thing is, it's actually a control thing. I don't know if I can speak about sheikhs.
No, speak.
So these guys actually pay these women to hold a strict diet for like 2 weeks so that they can know that they are in complete control of what that woman is putting into her body, and the girl is shit on them.
Wow.
So the girls aren't even getting shit on, the girls are shit on these guys, because then the guys feel like it's sick, like it's a control thing. So then they know, like, oh, you listened to me for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so that's probably their kink, that girls actually listen to them.
No 2-minute noodle.
But the comments stay cutting. Boy, you traded in Diddy for Dubai. Or even harsher, better hope those sheiks don't treat you the way Puff did. That's the sting. French might think he leveled up by linking with Dubai royalty, but insiders whisper the move could be a trap. Because when you know the history of how Middle Eastern royals flex their power, sometimes leaving one fire just means stepping into a hotter blaze. Here's the part French probably doesn't want to hear. Running from Uncle Sam into the UAE doesn't guarantee freedom. It might just mean he signed himself up for a new kind of contract. See, Dubai loves to show the world Lambos, endless skyscrapers, and pet tigers lounging on yachts. But the whispers beneath that shine? They've been ugly for years. Influencers fly out wide-eyed, chasing tax-free glam, only to sneak back spilling tea about palace parties where people weren't treated like stars, they were treated like props. And the rumors say it wasn't just women. Men, too, were allegedly pulled into situations where outsiders were seen as toys, not people. Now, put French Montana in that picture. Standing beside Shika Mara and her family's $18 billion fortune, he's not powerful, he's ornamental. And in a kingdom where money is legacy and politics is bloodline, he doesn't call the shots. He's a piece on their chessboard. And Shika Mara? She's the daughter of one of the most powerful autocrats of our time. French Montana might shine overseas, but let's be real, he's just pretty foreign famous. Enough to bring glitz to the table, but not powerful enough to fight back if the royals decide he's just another accessory. And that's exactly what folks online are saying. This ain't an escape from Diddy, it's just an upgrade to new handlers. Instead of freak-offs in Miami, it's private villas in Dubai. Bigger palaces, bigger shadows. And the family French just tied himself to? They are no strangers to global scandal. Remember Shika Mara's viral Insta-divorce in 2024? She stunned the world by dropping her husband with 3 words, "I divorce you." Public defiance that bold is unheard of in royal circles. Admirable? Absolutely. But it also showed just how messy life behind those palace gates can really be. Add to that the infamous royal baggage, Princess Latifah's failed escape attempt, Princess Shamsa's alleged abduction, both tied back to their father, the absolute ruler of Dubai, who now just happens to be French's brand new father-in-law. Suddenly, that glossy fairy tale sheen is looking cracked. Because when power that heavy moves against you, freedom ain't promised. And that's why the internet keeps calling this French's $7 billion escape plan. On paper, it's genius. Marry into obscene wealth, secure residency, and tuck yourself under a royal shield if the feds come knocking. But socially, it feels like déjà vu. For years, people clowned French as Diddy's boy toy, the shirtless dinners, the birthday serenades, the Ciroc endorsements. Now, the gossip says he didn't escape the role. He just leveled it up, from one sugar daddy to an entire dynasty of potential ones. And here's the bite. Hip-hop sold us French as the gritty underdog, Moroccan roots, Bronx hustle, Coke boys pride. But Dubai royalty, they don't play like bad boy records. You don't outshine them. You don't embarrass them. And you definitely don't outlive your usefulness, if even a shred of those whispers are true. So yeah, he left the hot water boiling in the States. But in Dubai, woo baby, he might have sat himself right on the stove. Here's the real gag in all this chaos. The loudest voice dragging French Montana is none other than 50 Cent. But pause on that for a second. What if 50 ain't just clowning? What if, beneath all the trolling, he's really trying to warn French? Because you know how 50 moves, Big Brother energy that roasts you non-stop, but secretly wants you to win. He's been shading French for years, calling him washed, calling him a Diddy leftover. But maybe, just maybe, he sees the trap French is walking into. A trap that doesn't come with chains, but reeks of those velvet cages people whisper about in Dubai. But flip the coin. What if it's not even a trap to French? We look at him like, damn bro, you sold your soul for protection. But maybe this is exactly what he wanted. See, not everybody's chasing freedom. Some people chase comfort. French might not see himself as a prisoner locked in some palace. He might see himself as the chosen one, the Bronx hustler who flipped mixtapes and ended up with gold-plated security. What we call a cage, he might call heaven, air conditioning, a driver on call, and billions in the bank. That's why 50's jabs sting so hard, because they're laced with truth. 50 built his empire on independence, owning his name, turning street smarts into boardroom power. Meanwhile, French might have flipped survival into servitude. But at the end of the day, who's really winning? The man still battling for credibility in hip-hop, or the man sipping tea behind palace walls, scandal-proof, untouchable, sitting on a $7 billion safety net? It's messy. It's ironic. And it's the paradox French Montana now lives in. To us, he looks like property. But to him, he might finally feel like royalty. And maybe that's the biggest twist of them all. 50 Cent can drag him forever, but French Montana might just be smiling, because this might have been the plan from the start. So, what do you think? Did French secure the ultimate survival move, or did he just lock himself in a golden cage? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because this story is only getting wilder.